Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Faith Podcast. We are on episode 62. We got Luke Timmons and we have our special guest. We got Walleye Dan in the house today. I should say outside because it's a beautiful day. But Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Living the dream. Living the dream. We're one day closer to fishing opener and we're halfway through the turkey season.
Yeah, I'm out on the porch here looking at the old Premier pontoon, just kind of starting to put some things together. And just had it rigged yesterday with the new Humminbird Explorer units. So
nice.
And I'm also looking into my little goodies shed over here, and I've got turkey stuff there. So yeah, we're right in the middle of it.
Do you end up rigging out your pontoon by yourself? Or do you have someone who's normally rigs it out for you?
I normally have Andy Cradaville up at Fish Electronics rig them okay. For me. This pontoon here was rigged by the people at Premier, and then Humminbird came out with the new Explorer units, and they're like, "Why don't you take it to Andy?" Because they were so busy down there in Big Lake. So
sure,
he just finished it yesterday.
Nice. That's gotta be like Christmas morning kind of breaking in new electronics on the new pontoon.
You know, I've done it so much, and I'm not, taking that for granted. But you just kind of roll with it. And I have the Explorer unit out in the snow bear this winter, so I've kind of got a little familiar with it there. But you're right. Having 3 new units on there is pretty darn nice. So that's for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say Luke and I we were on Gull. How many times? We went out for a couple times last summer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and I've got a 19. What is it? It's a 1995 Pro Lun Angler. Okay. Throwback. So I was luckily enough was gifted that boat from a family friend. So very extremely thankful for that. And I forced myself, because I've been how I've kind of grew up with fishing and stuff in our family. I was, coming from southeastern Minnesota. Both Luke and I have no lakes to work off of. So moving up here has been a blessing to enjoy the Brainerd Lakes area of having a lake around every corner. But hunting or, fishing with my brother-in-laws, I've never had to worry about having a boat, learning how to read electronics or any of that stuff. So I've got, what do I got? I got 2 Helix 7s in my boat, one with mega down, mega side imaging. I haven't even stepped into the realm of what else is out there yet, because I need to learn those first.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep up. It's just like, as you guys know, the technology world is just light years, and it's just crazy how fast it changes. And yeah, now you know that the whole rage is forward facing. And did I just do something there? Can you see that on your end or no?
Nope.
No.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, you're good.
All right. So anyway, yeah, it's just one of those things where I've always said, fishing, unless it's your business, it's like it's supposed to be a peaceful, enjoyable hobby or sport, where you just go out there and, just kind of, just take a deep breath and realize, holy moly, you're out there, and it's just, you need to just appreciate that. But it changes when it is your business and you've got the pressure of, putting people on fish every day or 2 times a day. So, but yeah, I would just embrace the fact that you've got a boat and any electronics, and, just be, and then in the back of my mind, I'm like, but you'd really love.
Really nice. How do you kind of prepare mentally for, for the opening weekend, kind of the kickoff to your busiest time of year, I'm sure, with being in the thick of turkey season right before it, and then, what are we, 3 days out from fishing opener?
Yeah, that's a good question. It seems every year, Luke, that it's something different, so this year, a friend of the family just bought my center console Bennington, a couple weeks ago. So he asked me if I would take he and 3 of his friends out on opener in that boat. So he could just get familiar with how I fish and maybe where I fish. You know,
gotta wipe all the cards clean on the hummingbirds.
Actually, I'm not. I'm leaving them on there for
There
him.
you go.
So.
Nice guy.
He asked about that, and I'm like, you know what? You still have to know what to do when you get there. So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I'm just just make sure all the rods are rigged for multiple presentations, which I was doing yesterday. I'll still be doing it today and tomorrow and all season long. It seems like just fiddling. But yeah, so I'm going to load everything in there as far as rods, reels, and some bait and tackle into the Bennington to show him the ropes on Saturday, and then I'm hopping back in the Premier on Sunday, and then the season goes. So you just have to. Whoa, good timing there. It's 1:00 on Wednesday.
Oh, it is.
Hey, unless that's something else. Never know these days.
Tsunami.
So you guys, just
what that was.
Well, the siren's going to go too next. So what do we do?
We'll just let it go. I mean, well, we can't.
Doesn't go long, does it?
No,
it goes for a while, but yeah, it's gonna just start blaring here pretty quick. But
it is the first Wednesday of the month. I didn't think about that.
Oh gosh, if you would have thought about that, I would have been like, you are a real whiz bang.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to happen here in Brainerd.
So anyway, yeah, just it's like you say, it's turkey season, and it's been a very successful turkey season. They're probably gobbling right now with that going. Oh boy!
We'll have to. We gotta clip that.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. This is like your paraglider incident, Luke.
Yeah, right in the middle of it. Gotta love it.
And we've got a golden doodle moose, and moose. If you guys have dogs too, you know how that goes, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Moose is just howling.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I kind of wondered if the coyotes and the wolves do the same thing.
I don't know. You would think, but to your point about turkeys, though, I could totally imagine them firing off right now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could just take a moment of silence and enjoy our weekly or monthly test.
Yeah. and just be thankful.
There's Baxter now kicking off.
Really?
Yeah. Byron's going to go here in about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I guess you just have to be thankful that, at this point in time that isn't the real civil defense going off where it is in some other countries, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, it is pretty worldly when, hopefully you can hear me well, but like when we're close enough to Ripley and they're still probably 25 miles away from where they're firing the cannons and the house shakes. So to think of like what that would be perspective wise, to be front and center with that is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't know if you heard Moose there. Listen.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I can hear
it. He's sad it's done.
I hope it's done sometimes, but yeah, let's hope it's done.
Well, we haven't had any. We had maybe that one night that there was the suspected tornado warning thunderstorm watch we were in that I didn't hear the sirens go off, but supposedly there was like funnel clouds and Pequot and something over Cub Foods and Baxter. And I looked outside, I didn't see any of that, whatever that was a week and a half ago. But
they were,
so tell us a little bit. We kind of wanted to bring you on and talk about, fishing opener and how turkey season went, and you just kind of give us a recap how to go out in the woods this spring.
Yeah, well, I would have to say that for one, it's like the birds, as you know, are just thick.
Yeah.
I mean, they're everywhere. So, and turkeys are still turkeys, even though there's more of them, which ups the odds some. But it's like they still are pretty good at putting the slip on you.
Oh yeah,
at times. But overall, gosh, I think I don't know if we've shot 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there.
Wow, nice.
Birds this spring.
Let's go.
Yeah. And yeah, so everyone I've had out has shot one so far.
Nice.
Got one more guy that has been using a crossbow, and we were close, but he hasn't shot one.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been good. It's been great, I should say. Super
and
fun.
you got a bird yourself, right?
I shot a bird myself. Yep. And I don't know if you saw that on social media. Isn't that crazy
yeah.
And you guys, I'm not bragging about this, but I did miss 4 birds before I killed my bird. I mean, it's just one of those things. I did not, I took feathers
Mm-hmm.
and that was with my compound. And so it's like, goodness gracious, I was flinging arrows and, like I say, I'm not proud of that, but on the morning that I killed mine, I had missed earlier, stuck an arrow in a log, and it was Easter Sunday morning. And, it's just, you guys know turkey season, right? It's like, I call it turkey tired, where if you're up at...
It's me today.
Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I can relate, but so I was up early on Easter Sunday morning. Shelly and I had talked about going to church rather than watching online at 9:00. And I'm like, I'd missed the one. I had birds gobbling. It was a gorgeous morning. And I'm like, okay, I need to be done at 8:30 so I can get home. And I was thinking that we were going to watch at that point. I was like, get home and watch online. So I shot my bird at about 8:15. I called Shelly. She goes, I guess we're not going to church today. And I'm like, oh my. Whoops. I was thinking that we were going to watch it online. She goes, well, we talked about it last night. And I'm like, yep, you're right. So anyway, bottom line is I shot my turkey Saturday morning. We ended up watching church online. It was a beautiful day. She wasn't too mad at me, which was great.
It's a good day.
It was a good day. Yeah. Yep. And, but yeah, back to the turkey part of that story is, so I missed the one, had gobble coming, back behind me, and started talking to that one. And here one comes running up the road, and I see something white in its mouth. And I just took a glance. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I was behind a tree. So all these misses have been, hiding behind cover or in cover, not in a blind. And this one came running with this white thing in its mouth, and I'm behind a tree. I come to full draw, and I'm like, gosh, what is that? And then right before I had shot, I saw that it was a mouse. and this one I stuck, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. And, I just let it, die there for a few seconds, and walked out there, and here laying beside it is this dead mouse. So, and I guess I didn't realize that they ate mice.
And I've never seen it before. I know that they will eat snakes and are somewhat like carnivorous, but I've never seen it before.
Yeah, I don't think many people probably have.
No.
My brother was saying that he found a frog in the crop of a pheasant one time. So, yeah. But anyway, that was that. That was cool. I probably should have had it mounted with the mouse in its mouth.
Yeah, good centerpiece to tell stories, right?
Well, it's it's funny. It's first like full circle because I saw the I think you put it on Instagram or maybe it was Facebook about the hot glue gun on the tail. I've never thought of that.
Oh my gosh,
it's a great idea.
And I'd done it before, and I don't know what happened to that fan, but yeah. So the bird that I shot there on Easter, just the other day, I had it in my garage, nailed to a board, right, to let it dry out a little bit. I go in there into the garage and there's feathers all over the place. And I'm like, uh-oh, chipmunk or whatever. But actually it was more helpful because it chewed away the meat.
Yeah.
On both sides, more or less.
What a guy.
What a guy.
I know. And then I'm like, oh, so you know what? I grabbed the glue gun and just totally loaded with glue. And yeah, I don't know what the name of those decoys are where you can just slide her in there, but there's probably multiple. But first day we used it, we killed a bird behind it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what would you say was your, like, what was the tactic that you used this year to success? I mean, it sounds like you've had an absolute slammer of a year. I feel like we were off to a hot start for about a week, and then we've had our teeth kicked in for the last week and a half.
Really?
So yeah, it's been a grind. But yeah, I mean, I just would love to know. I mean, like, obviously you had great success. So I mean, is there some things that you feel like that you did that just put you in the right position to be successful?
It's that's kind of the hardest part about this, when people are like, well, should I use a decoy or should I not? And it's almost like what you think you should do, you do the opposite, right? And so we had success, I guess, for the most part. I had another fan that was pretty beat up. I used that for probably 3 or 4 of the birds, and then also just a hen. Sometimes it would be a lay down hen. I would just push her further down to the dirt. And, and then we shot birds without decoys. And now this last one, just the other day, we had, my new fan, so a full strut tom, and then just, did I have a lay down hen there? I don't even recall, but it's just one of those things where you kind of look at the situation and you're kind of like, okay, how far along are we in the season? Have they been called to in this area? And it's probably more confidence than anything else. It's like, you know what? I don't feel good about using decoy today, so we're not gonna. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's so hard to.
Do you have more luck over decoys than not hunting with decoys?
I would say that I would say no. I mean, I really like hunting without decoys.
Sure.
I really do. I mean, you pick a spot, especially now that you've got good foliage, under cover starting to bloom.
Yep.
You pick a spot, whether it's a turn of a trail or something like that, if there's a bird back there, and then just have them come in and just start looking for you. Especially if you're using a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, that's what happened to me and Luke on a bird that I missed at about 8 yards. We didn't have time to get decoys down, and we both just pitched up against a tree. Both got bows. We're filming it. And this bird for, I don't know, 30 minutes was, maybe 45 minutes, gobbling at 12 yards. We're just watching him this whole entire time. I can't shoot because Luke's in the way. And then he finally came to a window where I could draw my bow when he went behind a tree, but I still had to pivot probably another foot to shoot him in the shooting lane. And I mean, turkeys, the moment they catch any sign of movement, they're Mach 10 so fast. Didn't even get a chance to get my pin on them. But
that's part of the fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's turkey hunting.
Right? And that's why we love it so much, is because every hunt is so unique and you just don't know what the heck they're going to do. And but like I was telling this friend that I was hunting with the other day, I just told him that, unlike fishing, it's like when I'm turkey hunting, every setup I have confidence that I'm going to call in a bird. Whereas if I'm fishing, it's like you've fished a couple spots and it's like, all of a sudden you're just like, is it really one of those days? It's turkey hunting is just different in that regard.
Do you feel like you have more control on either or? If you had to put in a situation where it's like, all right, I have to produce today? Do you feel more confident in your fishing abilities or your turkey hunting abilities?
Oh boy.
No pressure.
Right. You know what? Gosh, that's another tricky one. But I really have a lot of confidence when I'm turkey hunting. So I would almost go that route. Um, it's like fish, they might have just put on a feed bag. I mean, they always say that there's fish biting somewhere, right?
Yep.
One of those schools is biting, but it's like you might have to fish 15 spots to find that one school that's biting. Whereas if I'm turkey hunting, it's just whether they respond or not. It's like, just like the other day, we did not have a peep for probably, I don't know, 35, 40 minutes. And, in your mind, you're like, you start losing that confidence.
Start questioning.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, and you know what, you guys, at that point, I'm just like, I was with this Chad Cool. He actually does Northland Outdoors. Have you ever seen that? Okay. So Chad, I'd known him for a number of years, and I was just like, this was, I think, our third sit of the day. And I finally got to the point, and I should have done this earlier. I'm just like, dear Lord, bring us a turkey. And he's like, amen. And I'm like, amen. And then I said, and within the next 45 minutes, it's got to be specific, right? And so it wasn't probably more than 15 minutes after that prayer that we're just sitting there and, BSing, and then we got the gobble, and both of us kind of looked at each other, and, it's like, okay, here we go. Get your cameras.
Was that like a mid-morning hunt?
It was 2:30.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's even better because it's like, it's so unexpected. You're just like,
right.
He's right there.
And it was one of those days where it was 80 plus degrees and we were hot, except this new blind, the new, what are those, Tide Wees or whatever, the see-through. Yep. Have you got any of those?
I've sat in one. I do not own one. They are sweet.
They're really sweet, and especially when it's 80 degrees, because you've got that
blowing right through.
Yeah, so that's great. But anyway, so yeah, that was really cool. He better work that into his show, the whole prayer. And I better tell him to do that.
There you go.
But anyway, that was pretty cool. I don't know, where were we at? We were talking decoys, or?
Well, yeah. So just tell me, like, we're kind of in that point in the season right now where I feel like we're at that transition point of where, and I prime example, I saw it this morning, like, hen nested up. We bumped her. She took off. This is at, probably, I don't know, 8:00. We were walking back to the trailhead probably about 9:15, and she went right back to that same nest nesting. So, and we didn't hear a peep this morning for birds. So it was a pretty quiet morning, but I feel like we're at that time frame now where majority of hens are nested down with their eggs, and toms are starting to be, hopefully they're broken up a decent about now, but also I feel like hunting's starting to get to that point where it's getting a little bit harder compared to where we were maybe 2.5 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think it kind of depends on, so much, but it's like, okay, are you dealing with a bird that may be a little further down in the pecking order, that hasn't had his chance with any hens, and all of a sudden he hears you yelping and he's like, okay, here we go, right? I mean, so you have that, but yeah, the big old mature tom, he's heard it, he's seen it, he's done it, right? And he's a little bit, he's going to be the one that comes in silent to check things out. And but yeah, I would still have total confidence no matter what time of day. I would actually prefer to hunt probably from 11:00 until 5:00. The hens are on nest.
Yep.
Typically at that time, and yeah, they're gonna come check things out. It's just you gotta get that brain into the mode where you gotta have so much patience, I guess is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
What do
Just
Well, I
you
wait them.
think
when you're doing that? How long are you sitting in a spot? Or you talk about patience there. How long are you sitting in a spot before you're like, all right, it's dead here? And you talked like the silent Tom coming in. When are you moving?
Well, I mean, is it a quiet morning? Is it a windy morning?
Oh,
Or I
that's a
mean,
good point. Yeah. I
it
mean,
kind of depends.
if you just had like a typical morning, quiet, maybe a couple gobbles right off the roost, then like you're starting to get to that, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning where it's dead quiet.
Yeah. And once again, Luke, I'm kind of like, well, I don't like to hunt at that hour of the morning so much.
Sure.
I'm gonna wait a little bit now.
Yep.
Sleep in, you guys. And, and
the sun comes up substantially earlier now.
Yeah.
yes, it does. Yep. Yep. So, but yeah, so if it's quiet and you know that your call is being heard, then I would stick it out,
Yeah.
quite some time before moving to a different spot.
Okay.
Maybe it's a couple hours, because something has heard you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the biggest thing is if you're in a blind, that's one thing. If you're out in the open and you're, doing this and,
Uh-huh.
moving when it's still like that, you're going to get busted. So it's just, yeah, there's so much to it. And I've been busted so many times that I know.
Well,
So,
I think you hit it on the head. I mean, from a lot of people that we've talked with, I think the biggest thing that you said that I agree with is just having the confidence and knowing that you believe in what you're doing and sticking to that plan. Especially I think of like where we're at in the turkey season now is this is a time of patience. This is either where I know the turkeys come out here and you're going to sit here and you're going to wait them out, or you are running and gunning trying to find that one bird that wants to play the game, and
right.
you might put on 5 miles. I mean, who knows? I mean, like this morning, I think I'm already at 12,000 steps for the day. So
Wow. Huh. Yeah. Like we said before too, that's part of the reason why we love it. And then tomorrow you go out, and you get one to come charging in.
it could be totally
So
different.
yeah, it could be totally different. So yeah, I just can't get enough of it.
How many more people do you have left to take out?
So Tom wants to shoot one with his crossbow, see how that goes. Lurch is not too serious about it. Um, and then a fishing customer of mine from way back when, um, Mike wants to hunt. So I don't know, 3, maybe 4.
And I think you kind of in the same mindset with me because we talked about this last time on the podcast where I personally get a kick out of it and I try to take as many people out as I can before if I get a bird in between all of that, that's great. I usually kind of leave for me killing a turkey either the first part of the season or the last part of the season. But are you on pace right now to like break your bird count for like a year?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've had years, it seems like, where we've shot, 15 of them.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of it too is just having, knowing the lay of the land and having access to
Yeah.
property
Yep.
and just years of experience. But, the one of the coolest hunts this year was I was with, Rich and, oh gosh, Garrett Westland. And Garrett's the son. He calls me up and, local, live up in Cross Lake area. And he's like, Dan, he goes, my dad's coming home this weekend. Any chance you could take us turkey hunting? And I'm like, Shelly and I had talked about maybe going to Florida.
Yeah.
And I told him that. I said, yeah, probably not. We're gonna leave town. Turns out the flights were all booked
Mm.
and yeah, that was over Easter. And and then when it turned out that we didn't go anywhere, I called him up and I just said, hey, I'm here. You want to go? And he's like, yeah, So I met them, close to home here, and we saw a couple of toms as we were driving, and we circled, drove around them and got in on the back side of them. And it was pretty cool because I got set up in a spot where I thought would be a good spot, right? And this Garrett, younger generation, right? He pulls up his Onyx and he looks and he goes, and he looks at me and I'm like, he goes, it looks like there's water, between us and those birds. And I knew that there was, one dry spot through this way, but that would have been a long way for them to go, which of course they can do. But I go, let's make a move because of that, because he pulled that up on Onyx. And so we made the move, and on my way, how every now and then you got to let out a little yelp because there could be birds over here, right? Even though you're working on those birds over there. So we get about halfway to where we were going to set up, and I just let out a yelp with my mouth call, and we got them to gobble, like really close. So we kept moving, and probably another 100, 150 yards until we found some good cover, and put out the tom and a hen and just found some cover. And I'm like, you guys, here we go. This is it. We just, don't have it, too many other options. So then I'm thinking, are those two birds from over there going to come, or are these going to come? And so I just started calling, and the ones that I originally got to gobble on the mouth call were hot, and it sounded like there were a bunch of them.
Oh boy.
And I just, started chirping, and then would shut up, and they came right in, 4 longbeards, and they doubled up on them.
Oh boy. Nice.
It was so cool. And the dad just gave me a big hug when we were done. He goes, you don't know what this meant to me. And he had just lost his dad not long ago. And I'm just like, and they're like, what can we pay you? And I'm like, absolutely nothing. I go, I can't legally take any money in Minnesota here anyway. Yeah. So it was just the coolest hunt. But
that's awesome. I do find it interesting that Minnesota, we can't guide for turkeys.
Yes, I find it interesting too.
Out of all the things, they just were like, yeah, turkeys, no, can't do it.
Yeah. I see a little bit of it, where it's like if we're hunting a huge piece of state land and we've got this big list of people that we're going to hunt with, and now, average Joe goes out and wants to hunt, and nope, Walleye Dan, he's been hunting here for 30 straight days. And so I kind of get that, but private land, you should be able to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree on that one, even from like an outfitter perspective. But it does sound like you had a pretty awesome turkey hunting season, and you still have. I mean, that's where it's like Luke and I have joked so much, but this year we kind of changed our approach for what we did with Turkey Talk this year, and we started a lot earlier. I think we started. When did we start? We started in February.
February, yeah. So
we've been talking turkeys for a long time, and it feels like turkey season's been going on for eons at this point, and we're not even really halfway through the season yet.
Yeah,
just about.
What do your wives say about that?
Yeah, but well,
okay, we don't need to go there.
No, we're very blessed that we have very supporting spouses for not only the podcast but for letting us get out and hunt. And for me, like, same thing with you. Like I was able to take my father-in-law out and my nephew and got them a double this year. So it was their first turkeys ever. Cool experience. Grandpa, grandson,
nice.
They'll never forget that. And then I got my sister's boyfriend a bird who's never hunted in his life, which was kind of cool. And then, we just took out some other people, took out a good buddy today. And that's what I get on. I love the camaraderie and just like getting out, enjoying creation. And it's a beautiful time. It's what is it? It's like 70, or it's probably not 70. It's probably like 65 today. It's perfect. Beautiful.
It
Can't
really
beat
is.
it.
No, it's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. And there's times where I'm kind of like, of course there's a lot to do around the house, right? Um,
Yeah.
but there's times where it's like I'm like, gosh, I just wish I had somebody to call to right now.
Mm,
Or call
Yeah.
for, I should say.
Yeah.
yep.
So yeah, it's a little bit of a, should I say addiction?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
speaking of transitioning to another fun hobby of yours, or I should say profession of yours, fishing opener is this Saturday.
Hmm.
So I know you were talking a little bit earlier when we started the podcast, getting the pontoon all ready and dialed up, and you got your new units on your boat. But just for like, just kind of give us a ballpark of like what you thinking this year's opener is going to shape up to be like. Just maybe some water conditions. I know we've been pretty dry and rain up here, so I feel like lake levels are a little bit low. But I mean, any thoughts on how you predictions is going to go for opener?
Um, I would say that it should be good. I say that every year. Just you have to be optimistic as a fisherman, but this year, with these temperatures, gosh, up in the 80s, um, the fish spawned a couple weeks ago. I'd say the majority of them. It's kind of there's a couple week period there, but I would say that it should be good. Water temperatures up. Crappies have been biting, for a while now. And yeah, I mean it's these lakes are trickier, we'll say, during during the day just because the water's so clear and the fish
Mhm.
are spooky. But yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I look at Lake Mille Lacs where you can now keep a couple fish, and
Is
there are
it it's two now, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, two. I think you have to be over 17,
Mhm.
but there's so many fish in there that and that north end of the lake that warms up on the sand. I
Mhm.
think it's just going to be a real, we'll say, yeah. They're going to hammer them.
What do you think? Which lake do you think for the Brainerd Lakes area? I guess in specific, like which lake do you think gets the most pressure? Would you say is it Mille Lacs or Gull or what would you say?
Um, Gosh, I'd say probably over the years, I would say it's Gull, but it seems like the last number of years, people are like, oh, you know what? Pelican's good.
Mhm.
Edward's good. North Long is good. And now this year, some of the pressure is going to be over on Mille Lacs.
Yeah.
So I think, we are blessed with so many quality lakes, and everybody's got their opinion on which one is going to be it. So I think the distribution is kind of spread, and it's not like it was 15 years ago where everybody was like Gull Lake, Gull Lake, Gull Lake.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is, with the introduction of the zebra mussels
Mhm.
and these lakes just clearing out, the fish were still there. They were just harder to catch because you
Yeah.
can't sit on top of them without spooking them.
What would you say? Like, I mean, I don't know, just because let's see, we've lived up here for nine years now. Like, what was Gull Lake like 15 years ago compared to now?
Yeah, it was just it would still see, its ebbs and flows and, of good populations and really good populations and then, kind of mediocre. But it's like when you've got water clarity that, isn't what it is now, right? You've got a little bit more stained water.
Mhm.
You're able to mark those fish and you can, like I say, you can sit on them and catch them
Yeah.
15, 20, 25 years ago because the water was more stained and they're not spooky. But now, even in, 18, 20 feet of water, when there isn't a lot of chop, they're gone. So it's just changed the way we fish. Now you got to cast to them or long line troll them. So yeah, things have changed a lot as far as that goes, but you just have to learn to adapt and do what, you know, do what's going to get them, put them in the boat.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I think that's really good advice on that one. I mean, it's been interesting for me getting to fish with my brother-in-laws over the last, you know, 8 years here, learning, coming from where we're at in southeast Minnesota, we grew up trout fishing, and that was about it. We didn't really like when I remember the first time I came up north to go fishing, we'd always go to Pelican Lake in Orr, and we'd go
Yeah.
fish up there, but we would we'd only fish for pike, and that really wasn't a walleye known lake. But like I would always tell my dad, I'm like, why can't we go to Vermilion? It's like 30 minutes down the road and they have walleyes there. Like it'd be awesome to have walleyes. And like we just always caught pike. So the first time I ever went fishing with my brother-in-law, I was like, God, are we gonna go catch bass or pike? And we're up on Rainy River, and like, you dummy, we're gonna go catch walleye. What do you think we're fishing for? And so it's been fun now living in the Brainerd Lakes area of like putting that game of chess on and just learning the techniques and stuff. But I only have one experience of going to Canada when I was a kid, where you would just drop down a bare hook and you could rip walleyes. But now fishing with them, kind of talking about the tactics that you're talking about, where it's like, all right, well, these fish are 35 feet away. We're going to come back to them, circle around them. We're going to cast to them. You can't necessarily just drop a line on top of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Things have changed a lot, and it's like people say, the fish don't have a chance these days. And I do believe in that a fair amount, where with this forward facing sonar that, they really can't hide anymore. I mean, they still need to, they need to be hungry, and, but you can just watch them, react. And I'm not as dialed as some of these people, because as a fishing guide, it's not like we're fishing a tournament, even though it kind of feels like that every day, where you need to produce. But it's
well, it's about that experience for your clients too. Are they having fun?
Right.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that that's the case. But yeah, it's kind of a tough one. But
I mean, would you say forward facing sonar for you is like taught you some things that you would have like, or how should I say it? You've seen things now that you wouldn't have been able to pick up with 2D or like side imaging that you've learned.
Yeah. Just hanging out a lot higher in the water column, I guess, is one of the big ones, right? You're back in the day, it was pounded into our heads that these fish are relating to the bottom. And, I heard that, I read that, I thought that, and then you tell everybody else, right? But there's just been so many myths that have been uncovered. But yeah, just the fact that, you're working an edge thinking they're all along there, and then all of a sudden you turn that sonar out over water, deeper water, and they're 6 feet down over 30 feet of water, where in the past they would have lived to see another day. But now people are catching them. And it's just like ice fishing, where you're using your sonar, you can see how they're reacting or not. And then it's time to rifle through the tackle box. Now that's something that you can do during the open water season.
Yep.
So
you see, it just goes like brings my head to like when, like the first Mojo came out for duck hunting, and you had spinners for duck hunting, and it was just like there'd be ducks just flying into the decoy from miles away. And now, a lot of guys think it's taboo, more so for the field, whatever. Do you see any sort of changes with fishing with that, where forward facing is the new thing? Have fish started to kind of adapt almost to that a little bit, or not quite yet because it's so new?
I think that there is definitely some of that, right? The forward facing sonar, the kilohertz is a lot stronger, so it's sending that high powered sonar, signal out at those fish, whether you're forward facing or down. and they feel that,
Mm.
I
bouncing
guess
all.
I'd never thought about that.
Oh yeah, so it spooks
Yep.
them for sure. I mean, I had a guy out in the fish house this winter, and we were fishing some deeper water, and um, he's like, he was out there all by himself, and I knew that this spot was a good spot, and I just was like, "Will you do me a favor and just kind of keep this under your hat?" And you have to
Open that
protect.
Onyx, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to protect your spots. And he was an avid fisherman, a local guy, and I totally trusted him. He goes, "Yeah, I will," and he was out there by himself, drove his snowmobile out to the fish house, was using my Mega Live. And I mean, this is one of those things where, you're not, oh gosh, I was going to say you're not selling product by saying this, but,
Mhm.
honesty, you have to be honest, right? Even as a fisherman, right? Um,
It's a good one.
but so he had fish coming in and looking at the Mega Live 2, and they'd come in and then they'd be gone.
Mm.
And he saw it happen like 2 or 3 times, and he shut it off. And he ended up catching a dozen
Hmm.
that night, and like 3 big ones. And I'm just like, so it seems like there's times, whether it's crappies or walleyes, whatever kind of fish, that they'll come in and they don't really care that signal is bouncing off
Yeah.
their lateral line. But then there's times where it's like you see them come into that, at 15 or 20 feet out, and then all of a sudden they're gone.
Mm.
And it's just like, yeah, so I would just say that they can feel that, and they're like, that's not normal. So
Yeah, I guess I never would have thought about that. And that kind of brings up interesting points because I've fished not I guess I haven't had a mega live experience in a boat yet. But in terms of ice fishing, I guess I have seen that a couple times fishing with some other guys now that would kind of make sense of where they would just scatter as soon as they'd come into your cone or whatever your beam is and you're watching them and you're just like, well, what the hell just happened?
mhm. Yeah, and they're the musky thing is a huge thing. It's like these
Yeah.
fish don't, you can open water, right? You can chase them around all day long, and a muskie post spawn is out recovering, and
Mhm.
now these guys are hunting them down and catching them suspended over deep water, and it's stressful on the fish. And you're hearing stories about fish floating and people. There are people just up in arms, just
Yeah.
so things are going to change there. Otherwise, our resources are going to get demolished.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
I mean, I'll be very curious to see what the DNR does because I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I mean, like kind of like what you're saying. It's a for in terms of the fishing world. I would say it's a pretty revolutionary technology shift. Just like getting cell cameras. I mean, that was a huge shift in the world of hunting in general. Where it's like, all right, how far can we push this before? Is this like, is this like is it hunting anymore?
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I know this society is just, yeah. I mean, as you guys know, I mean, yeah. And now look at Chat GPT, right?
I
It's like,
I might be throwing in chat well, I'm going to ask you what I should do for fishing opener here in a minute, but chat's pretty close where it's just like, okay, what do I do for walleye opener?
yeah. It's kind of sad, but it's just where we're at, and you need to just know that there's not a whole lot we can do about it. And yeah, people are going to use the resources that are available.
Mhm.
right.
But yeah, cell cams and forward facing sonar, and just it, you look back to where it all began and where you guys got your start, where I got my start, and you're like, oh my gosh, I picture myself out on Gull Lake with the Lowrance green box sonar, and you're like, and now look at where we're at today. It's just like,
Right.
oof.
It's crazy. So
It
what would
is.
you say? What would you say is for opening weekend? Saying we're targeting walleyes. Like, what's the first technique you're going to throw out there, or the presentation that you're going to try?
Oh boy.
Because I know you probably got 12 rods, probably 20 rods, like locked and loaded, ready to go. But I mean, if you had to
correct.
pick one or two methods of like, you know what, we're gonna go fish this piece of structure, or whatever it might be, like, just give us maybe like one little tidbit or tip or advice that you'd say for someone trying to target walleyes for opener.
Yeah. If water temperature, I know there's a lot of talk, and normally there isn't, about fishing leeches on opener.
Mm.
Water temperature's up. Leeches are now going to probably be swimming, whereas, with colder temps, they don't swim, right? So you
Yeah,
put one on your hook, they curl up, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do to entice the fish. So a slip bobber and a leech
deadly.
is deadly all season long as soon as that water temperature's up, and I think it's probably going to be up by Saturday enough to get those leeches swimming. So slip bobber, leech, trolling shallow crankbaits, jigging rapalas will work. And then a jig and a minnow, depending on where you're at. If you're in a little bit deeper water, a jig and a minnow, a spot tail shiner, Lindy Reagan, a spot tail shiner. Casting plastics. I mean, it's like the windswept shorelines, right? Or in the north end of the lake that warms up faster, there's going to be fish up shallow. So you could just use a jig and a plastic and just keep working your way down that break line. So I don't know exactly what we're going to do. We're meeting at 8:00, and that's not ideal for me. I mean, that's late.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and it's going to be 82 degrees or whatever on Saturday. It's going to be gorgeous. So we'll just have to just enjoy the day. But if there's a breeze, I'll probably cover some water trolling shallow water crankbaits.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, you catch pike too.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I just, like I say, I don't know exactly. And, if the fish are in the channels, you could troll the channels. But I'll be looking, and if I see them in a little bit deeper water, we'll drop a jig and a shiner on them.
Nice. So
Yeah.
did you have a chance to do any fishing earlier here before opener? Like, did you make it up to Rainy River for the spawn run up there? Or did you travel anywhere else to go fishing, or fishing crappies local or anything like that?
I've only been out on the water twice, and once was with a friend that just lives down the road. He was going out, and he's like, "Want to go?" And I'm kind of like, "Oh, it's a beautiful night." Shelly was out of town. I'm like, yeah.
Why not?
Why not? So we went out. We didn't catch squat. That was early, really early, right after the ice went out. And then I was out just the other day with this friend, Dave, that bought my boat. And I was just kind of showing him the ropes. We did see some fish, and we saw some fish get caught, but he didn't have a fishing license. I took a few casts, didn't catch anything. So no, just locally. Otherwise, yeah, turkey hunting is kind of taking up my
Nice.
spring. Back to the darn turkey.
Yeah, always. Right?
It's not a bad problem. I think we'll be hard at it until the end of the season, I'm sure, for turkey hunting. Do you have any plans, Luke, getting out for opener?
For fishing? No, there's no lake down here, man.
Come on, you could drive like an hour and a half.
I could, but yeah, no, I'll be in the turkey woods this weekend for sure.
Nice. Yeah,
How about you, Evan?
I'm gonna try to. We're for sure gonna turkey on Saturday morning, and then my wife was nice enough. She just looked at me. I know I got my one brother-in-law from Roseau's coming down. We were gonna go up to usually always our family traditions to go up on Rainy River. And then if the lakes open up, we'll go up on the lake. Just we got family up in town there. But I think we're gonna fish local. I'm not sure if we're gonna go on Gull, if we're gonna hit up Mille Lacs yet. But that should be fun. That's always a fun crew to get out and fish with. But I don't know. I'm excited. I want to get my boat in the water, but I've got some troubleshooting to do either tonight or Friday. So that might get put on the back burner.
Yeah, well, we just need to be thankful that we're healthy enough to do it, right, guys?
That's
You
right.
know,
Yep.
it's just one of those things where there's people out there that don't have that opportunity, and I need to just remember that, every day going out, just like, no matter what the conditions are or what the fishing was the day before, it's just like, just go get after it and be thankful that healthy enough to do it.
Right. That's a good point. I mean, Evan and I kind of made it our mission this year to really hit home on mental health stuff with like May and then June being men's mental health. So how do you kind of, before we end here, I wanted to ask you, because the guiding world's got to be, just a ball buster for summer, and then obviously coming out of ice fishing. How do you kind of deal with burnout and just kind of that disconnection where, like you were just kind of alluding to a little bit, that you get to do this, not so much that you have to do it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's it can be a grind, that's for darn sure. But I um I get the pick of the trips for one, right?
That's a
And
good
it's
pick, right?
like, even though, I mean, I'll be putting in a fair amount of time on the water this year, but um yeah, so Shelly knows that it's like, if I'm on a long stretch, she'll scratch me off for this day or that day. And
Mm-hmm.
but you just, and fishing different lakes, it's like, if I've been on one lake for a week, and it's, even if it's been mediocre, where you're still catching some, it's nice to be able to shift gears and go to this lake, and then you've got this new outlook. And
Sure.
yeah, so it's just, that's another nice perk to be living up in this neck of the woods with 300 lakes in a 30-mile radius. So you can just kind of hop around, even though I spend the majority of my time on Gull. But yeah, you just got to keep on keeping on. And, I've got some other irons in the fire. And if it's one of those things where, you're not feeling it, it's time to look at, other options, we'll say. I mean, the outdoors is where I've lived my whole life, and I'm not going to get away from that. But it's just, we've got 6 other guides that work for us,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd be happy if I found something else, because that would just mean that there's more trips for them.
So I don't think we asked this in the last podcast at all. And like, I know the guiding season for you can probably get to be pretty long, sticking on the same beat here. But, as the season kind of goes on, do you have another hobby? I mean, obviously turkey season is going to end here in May, but like, do you have another hobby that's like kind of your release to go out and do that? Maybe, it's like, hey, I've been on the water for 7 days and I need a break from this. Is there something else that you kind of use as an outlet just to kind of get away?
Not really in the summer months, but I really, really look forward to around the 25th of October. And I think what happens then.
It's a,
25th, 28th,
Yeah, good time.
it'll be here before we know it.
Yes, indeed. So no, that's where I find my peace, just sitting in a tree and, looking and listening, and yeah, just taking it all in. So yeah, I've got a friend that put me in for, they've got a ranch out in Wyoming. So I'm
Ooh.
in for elk. I don't know if I've going to get drawn, but that's a possibility, I'll say.
That's
Nice.
exciting.
And
Would you go with your bow?
Probably, yeah.
Nice.
Even though I think that they're out there during the gun season.
Gun season.
I've done it before where I brought my bow, and then I ended up borrowing a gun on the last day of the season, and I did end up shooting
Nice.
an elk that's right above my head here. But so yeah, I just, I'm not really a gun hunter. I'm a bow hunter, and I'd rather bow hunt all season and not shoot anything than go out and shoot one with a gun.
Nice.
Because I mean, it's not like we live off venison. So
yeah. Well, we do in our household, and we're fighting tooth and claw right now because we've burned through all of our venison. We went through all of our beef. I'm very thankful that we're getting a half a beef here in like the next 2 weeks finally. So I was joking with a buddy today. I was like, I'm gonna have to start substance fishing this weekend so we can survive.
well, let me know if you need any help. I can always try to catch you a few fish if you need it.
Well, I can't catch a turkey, so I might have to do that.
Well, you can reach out to me there too. If you get one of those days where you're like, gosh, I wonder what Dan's doing, reach out. And if I've got an opportunity, like I say, I've got access to land, we'll go out for an hour or two.
I would love to take you up on that. That would be a blast, and finally get to meet you in person. And it's this is the fun thing about this podcast, that we've had a chance to have a lot of really, really cool people on, and we've had a couple opportunities where we've got to meet some people, and I would love to get out and fish, or love to get out and hunt. And Luke,
you've got my number, and yeah, don't be afraid to reach out. And if I can do it, I will. And if not, I'll tell you. So
I will say that would be the first time in my life I would have somebody else call for me.
Or you can call for yourself. I can just put you in a spot where I think we might get one, and then I can use my phone and videotape you. Whatever.
There you go.
I don't need to call.
No, I would, but we can wrap things up here. I just want to tell you, Dan, thank you so much again for taking time out of your day for hopping on with us, and we just appreciate you coming back on second time, and we're excited for you for this year. Hopefully, it's a fruitful spring and summer for fishing. I mean, obviously you've had lots of success in the turkey woods, so that's awesome there. But once again, if you want to get a hold of Dan, we'll be sure to include all his info for himself and the rest of his guide team if you want to book a trip with Dan this summer. And thank you again, Dan. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, guys. Good chatting with you.
Awesome. All right, thanks, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through faith in the great outdoors. We hope today's episode has inspired you to seek God's presence in the wilderness and deepen your connection with nature. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Wild Faith Podcast on your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll continue to be a part of the Wild Faith Podcast community. We'd also love to hear from our listeners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can connect with us on social media or through our website. Your feedback is important to us and helps us improve and tailor our content to better serve you. And always remember, the great outdoors isn't just a playground for hunting and fishing. It's a sanctuary for finding solace and spiritual renewal. As you gear up for that next adventure, I pray you find God's presence in the crackling of a campfire, the thrill of reeling in your catch, or the quiet solitude found in nature. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Wild Faith Podcast. Take care, and God bless.